Wow, welcome back, and I hope you're enjoying the show. You've shared the feed while you are on a break so that, more of your friends can learn about their temperaments, because today we are learning on Know Your Temperaments. I suggested earlier that you can type some of these traits that you had about a choleric and some that you had about a sanguine, so that sanguines will come to the show later, can follow up and, get to know where they fall, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how they can be able to harness these weaknesses to ensure that it does not overwhelm them, or they don't tend to dwell more on their weaknesses, but dwell more on their strengths. So when we went on a break, we were finishing up on the issue of, relationships, how they relate with other people.
Yes.
Probably we can ask, how would a choleric, in just maybe 1 minute, a choleric and a sanguine relate with God? Our relationship with God. Okay. Judy.
I think, cholerics are very business-like in nature. So even their relationship with God sometimes is limited as far as especially faith is concerned, because they're used to being in charge. So the whole notion of surrender is a bit foreign. God has to literally take you to a place of solitude. Where he literally forces you into that place of solitude for you then to encounter God. That's why choleric seems to have very intense conversations or very intense moments with God, because that is the only way that he would capture their attention.
So somehow God has to break their will in totality for them to be able to surrender.
Yes.
How about a sanguine, Sarah?
So for sanguines, these are also very emotional people. For them, if it's crying, they will cry, They will seek the Lord, they will cry. Yeah, but also, we are speaking about that part of being patient and being patient with God, because, relating with God is not a transaction. Sometimes, you find we want it to be a transaction. We are coming for that. So for them, they will cry, they will pour themselves out, they will, they're also emotional people. But in terms of staying at that point of, waiting. Patience and waiting is a challenge. It would be a challenge for them, So I think that's why, and it's important to know also how we relate with God, that he's our father. He's not, we're not in business. He's not a businessman that when you pay, you pay. It's not that.
I've given you my heart, God. What else do you need?
No. It's a relationship, and a relationship, it is a process, So I think the challenge is the waiting part and just the patience in God.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful. So let's move to the next temperament.
The melancholic.
Judy. Yeah.
The melancholics are usually very artistic people, very musical people, or sometimes have a leaning towards athletics. What you also realize about them is that they have very high IQ. But one of the things that you also realize that they're very analytical, very organized, very systematic in how they work. In terms of being able to achieve results, these are marathoners. They are not sprinters. But then...
the Eliud Kipchoges?
Yes, the Eliud Kipchoges, yes. But then one of the things that you also need to realize about melancholics is sometimes because of their perfectionistic nature, they tend to be very hard on themselves. So they are prone to depression. They are prone to having very strong mood swings, because for them, if something goes wrong, they tend to beat themselves harder than the rest of the people. They also are very sensitive. They have a very sensitive nature, very sensitive to criticism, and very sensitive about everything that goes on around them. They might have a challenge in terms of being able to express their feelings, but as far as loyalty is concerned, phlegmatics have it. Once you're able to get into their hearts, they will take you the full distance.
The melancholics or phlegmatics?
Melancholics.
Okay.
Yes.
Loyalty.
Oh yeah, melancholics. Yes.
Right.
They have very loyal people. But then now the downside is they are very hard to please because they are perfectionists. They'll tend to, the standards that they set are very, very high.
It's never good enough.
It's never good enough.
Yeah.
So that would be the challenge as far as relating with them is concerned.
So they're the best people to tell a secret.
They're the best
They'll
people
keep
to
it
tell. Yes.
till death.
Yes, yes.
You can add on to something.
Yes, so the melancholics, these are very thoughtful people, by the way, the thinkers. The Einsteins, the Charles Darwin, those scientists and philosophers, the inventors. Somebody who anajifungia in a dormitory room comes up with a system like Microsoft. So are not sanguines. They were melancholics. They were for melancholics.
Yeah.
Yes, they are thinkers. And even in any room, by the way, they will not even be quick to speak. You know, the sanguine has everything to say with 0 points.
On every topic.
Yes. Wait for the melancholic, and sometimes you even have to to probe them. Like you have to really tell them, please, everyone has to contribute for them to speak up, but they have the best idea because they are analyzers. They take time to think, and they usually they're able to bring things together. So they are the thinkers in any room, and then also they are very time scheduled. They are very time scheduled.
Everything has to
schedule oriented. They are
on second.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are also planners, excessive planners. For them, ukimwambia saa hizi, there's a paid for trip to to Mombasa, Diani, whatever. They want trip.
Diani. When
they want to see that they have planned, so you don't surprise them like that. They are not people, they don't like the surprises.
They are not sanguines.
They want to see that they have actually, but they're excessive planners. Then they are detail-oriented people. For them, sasa mpatie the Hansard, mpatie the Constitution, mpatie the numbers. They make very good accountants.
Wow.
They make even good lawyers because to be able to read all of those clauses,
na
atakutolea tu in that clause. So they like fine print. They like to read the detail. They're very detailed people. They're very good in research. When it comes to research, they do very well.
So in terms of career field, they would work well as lawyers.
Lawyers, yes.
Accountants.
Even medical surgeons and what have you, because you need to be very keen to detail. You need to be precise. Like you need to be, the precision needs to be perfect. Then, of course, they are perfectionists, as she said. The other thing is that they are able to keep grudges. Mtu atakukumbusha.
Yeah.
This is what you did 3 years ago.
On this day.
On this month. With precision. We will preach to you. Don't keep a record of wrong. So they can keep that's why she was saying it's very easy for them to get into depression and all that. They're prone to depression. Yeah, so, and then also actually of the 4 temperaments, this temperament is the one that is most likely to find people ending up in depression and suicidal tendencies. Okay. Yes, it's this particular one because they don't speak out.
They're also in creatives, isn't it?
Yes, in creative, they're very artistic because, they take time to think.
So the people, the artists, the people who draw.
Yes.
The people who
musicians.
Even poets, musicians. Oh, the lines are perfect, they're perfect, are very artistic.
Would you name some of the musicians who you think fall on this melancholic?
Okay, you see, the thing is, there artists. Are, there are songwriters and then there are those who are going to perform. Yeah, so songwriter, you may find a songwriter is not the same who has, who has performed. So there is that. There is that. But of course, there are so many. I think we can point out. I think there are so many. Yeah. But also, I think the other thing I want to say is that, because of that nature, they don't talk much. They don't. It's important. Please, in an office, if you find someone is only quiet, please, msalimie, ukipita msalimie. Know how they are doing, because mostly they don't speak out their problems, and then all of a sudden unapata it has escalated. Okay. These are also the people unapata they are very good, unaonanga they are very cool, and then all of a sudden unaona they have hacked the girlfriend. They have done something because they keep so much. So when it explodes, it explodes. It can explode badly. It can explode badly. And if you also know that this is you are a very quiet person, and you cry inside alone, and try and open up a little bit. Yeah, whatever it is that you're suffering, maybe you find it will be easier if you share it out. So it's important to also share it out if you really feel this is who I am.
Let's talk about them in a relationship.
Yes.
Judy.
Melancholics in a relationship, they may not be very expressive, but you have to learn their love language. For a sanguine, their love language would likely be words of affirmation, because the words is their language. But then, but then now for a melancholic, you might find that acts of service is their love language. Now that takes us to also the other level of us thinking about even love languages as an example, because the way love languages is taught to us is that now you're supposed to try and express yourself in the way that the other person is supposed to understand. But truthfully, you can never really change. So the challenge then becomes for you as a sanguine whose love language is words of affirmation, that when the melancholic expresses himself in terms of acts of service, you'd be able to read it correctly. So that then you're reading this love language, he's actually saying, I love you. He has cooked chapatis. Are you seeing?
baked,
or baked or done whatever. That was it. But you, because you're a sanguine, and because this thing has been taught to you that he should learn, you're sitting there waiting for words of affirmation and thinking that he doesn't love me enough.
Yes.
Are you getting
That's what I'm thinking in a Sunday. Where are people so mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And you cook chapati. You cook chapati like I did something that, no, I want to hear it. You know, so, and then also when it comes to even colors, you can tell mostly they wear dull colors because they don't like attention.
Yeah.
They'll sit at the back. They don't even want anyone to notice that they are there. So dark colors, dull colors, most of the times, they're not very attention seeking.
Wow.
You know?
Maybe because of time, let's look at the last.
Yes.
The last.
Phlegmatics.
We
have the phlegmatics, flags. Yes. So the flags, these are first of all the kindest people, the most peaceable people, the most loyal people. If you have a problem with a phlegmatic, you're the one with the problem. It's not them. Yes. Because they look for their peace. Anything, their main concern in life is actually to please people and get along with everybody. So you find they are the ones who have the most friends because they are it's very difficult for them to hurt you, you know? I'd rather they keep quiet, but you won't find an altercation between a phlegmatic and somebody. And if you find them in such, you have really pressed them so much. So they are very peaceable people, very loyal, very faithful, very kind. So you find many people will take advantage of them because utamuomba pesa leo, ujarudisha ukuje tena, because they are never able to say no. So sometimes they can be a bit stubborn, you know, akwambia tu, atafanya something, because they can't tell you no to hurt you, but they won't do it.
Oh, so they just say yes then.
Because they can't, you know, they don't want to hurt you, they don't want to say no. So hata utamuomba pesa na hana kuambia sawa. But they won't. But they can't tell you no.
Yeah.
So they are very loyal, very faithful, very understanding. Actually, these are the people you find amekaa kwa kampuni for 30 years.
Kwa CV, on the CV, that's how you know.
Amevumilia kila kitu. That's why he was saying, like our former president has been there since independence.
Yeah.
Unavumilia kila kitu until you get your time. So, yes. Kuna wengi sana walikuwa hapo katikati na wapo. They wanted, but they didn't have the patience. They are very patient people. If it's about patience, and also they are the best friends to have because they are very diplomatic, very secretive. They're also able to keep secrets. Actually, even they make the best spies, you know, and diplomatic people. Okay. They make the best. You never
because
know
you'd never think.
Tell.
Yeah.
And they also don't talk much. They're not like some. They don't talk much, so you will never know. Yeah. But they make very good, you know, diplomats. Yeah. So but then on the other end, they don't like change. They are afraid of change. They can be very indisciplined also. They can be very stubborn. Very, very stubborn, you know. So but basically I think they're the ones who have the most number of friends, you know, because we really hurt you. They will really hurt you. And then now when it comes to like careers, even on children, you can be able to tell, you know, a child, they don't cry, they're just cool. They don't akitisha wale watu wengine wakitisha vitu, the child is just calm, ameketi tu kwa kona yake na tutoys wake vizuri, ana shida. You can be able to tell. So, and then also because they don't speak much, you have to volunteer them to talk. Like you have to make them talk. You have to make them talk. And then they don't like leadership. They don't like that.
They would not offer themselves.
They will not offer themselves. You have to push them. You have to really push them. Yeah. And then let me also say, and this is according to studies, you know, that of the 4 temperaments, people with this temperament tend to live longest.
Oh,
because
really?
Because they focus on their peace. They focus on making sure people around them are okay. You know, they're very good with relationships. They are relational people. Yeah, so they also tend to live longest. And this is according to a study that was done. You know?
Would it be the people Jesus was saying, blessed are the peacemakers?
I'm telling you, these are the people. Blessed are the peacemakers. Because for them, you will never have mnakosana friction. Watakubali tu vile utasema. They will go and cry in the bathroom alone, but they will not have an altercation with you. Rarely will they do that. When it comes to careers, of course, they do very well, like in child development, because you have the patience with the children. Okay. They do very well in counseling because, of course, you know, they are able to understand. You know, people who comfort you feel comforted. Let a colleague comfort you. You know, they don't have Isa, Judy. skiza na imeisha. And it's not like they don't feel you.
Yeah.
They really do. But you know, for them, they don't have that in them at you. This was we were here with you until you feel you are
They
you are
even cry with
comforted.
you,
They will cry with you. So they also make very good people when it comes to social welfare workers, social workers, pastors, yes.
Yeah. Of course, pastors have to be.
Yes.
But I cannot imagine a choleric. Of course, they are there, but those ones God has really worked on.
You see, the challenge of this one is being
Cholerics
able to
are most usually, I think, called into the apostolic.
Yeah, because they are pioneers.
Yes.
Yeah, they are
leaders.
pioneers. Yes. So for these ones, they would normally will not take initiative to start things. Yeah, normally they will not.
Even if they have the
Phlegmatic.
idea.
Even if they have the idea, hata kuisema, you have to push them. You have
Would
to
you
really push
say
them.
they are the people who would let you wallow in your mud? They watch you make mistakes, but they would rarely tell you what you're doing is wrong or what you've done is wrong.
First they don't want to hurt you. They don't want to make you to feel like you are bad, like you've done wrong. So they are also very tactical. Is it tactical? Is it the right word? They're also very tactical in the way they approach things. So they'll want to, like a choleric will come and tell you, but leader, what you have done is wrong, and if you continue this and this will happen. For them, they'll come and tell you, you know what you've done is not very wrong. They are being tactical, they are being diplomatic. What you've done is not very wrong, but if you do things this way, they are very diplomatic in there because they don't want to hurt you. Yeah. So, but even someone does a song, unafanya nini wewe? They don't care what you. Yes. So I think what you've done for them, they'll come very tactically if they have to really help you. Yeah.
Wow. So of the 4 temperaments, where do you fall? Are you a choleric? Are you a sanguine? Are you a phlegmatic? Are you a melancholic? But of course, you cannot be one, as they've said. You might have traits of one. Of course, there's one that's more domineering.
Yes, we have a dominant one and a runner-up.
Yes.
So we have that balance. So it's important to know which is your dominant one and also which one is like you. Yeah, like for me, I said I'm a I'm a sanguine choleric, So we have that. That's what she was saying. It's for the balance. God give us at least. And then let me also say, there's no personality that is better than the other. Yeah. And it doesn't mean because you have one personality like a choleric, like you have a more chance of making it in life than the others. No,
really.
There are global principles of success that apply. You apply them as a phlegmatic, you win.
Yeah, you win.
Yes.
Wow. So I believe you have learned something, but now I'd like us to look at it in the context of marriage.
Yes.
And marriage partners.
Yes.
Judy, would you take us through that?
Okay, usually what tends to happen is that people tend to attract the opposite person. And again, that is God trying to, just bringing a balance into our lives. You can imagine 2 sanguines living together in the same house, or 2 cholerics or whatever. Yeah. But usually now, the thing that actually attracted you to the other person sometimes becomes a source of frustration until now you understand the reason why this person came into your life. Because sometimes you as a sanguine, you as a choleric want to do something and execute very fast. A melancholic phlegmatic wants to take time to actually look at various scenarios, and because they are more analytical, they have seen a 3D aspect of this whole thing. But you're thinking you're slowing me down.
Yeah.
Until you come to realize that actually there's something this melancholic phlegmatic had seen that I had not seen. And sometimes I want to speak to the people, especially the ladies with stronger personalities, because we tend to marry men with maybe more calmer personalities. Sometimes it's easy for you to think that you have you are better. And sometimes, actually, honestly speaking, that's true. Society also tends to judge us more harshly and think that we don't have capacity to submit. Yet we can submit. If only you come with reason, because that is what appeals to us. Yeah. You understand? So it is possible, by the way. There's no personality that cannot get married. There's no personality that cannot submit. The only thing is you have to learn to understand where your personality. And I want to talk a bit about introverts. Because in my experience in coaching, I have seen that introverts tend to...
Introverts would now be
melancholics and phlegmatics. Okay. Realize that they have such great strengths. But many times they tend to downplay their strengths because society does not celebrate introverts enough. But then we must understand that we need these introverts. We need their analytical skills. We need their wisdom, because truthfully, they are wiser because they take time. They are actually wiser than the rest of us who seem to be louder than them. So we also need to get to the place where introverts begin to appreciate their strengths. I want to tell people that an introvert who has confidence is just as good as a strong extrovert, a strong sanguine, a strong choleric. If you walk in a room as a melancholic and you have confidence, you're just as good as a sanguine. If you enter into a room as a phlegmatic with confidence, you're just as good as a choleric. The truth is, you just have to be able to own your personality, own your temperament, and walk in it.
Yeah, don't think of yourself as lesser.
I don't think of yourself as less. And sometimes it's because, truthfully, a lot of damage has been done in our homes. Because you, for example, you have a child who seems to be bubbly. You're like, hey, we are kona akili unalanga vile akona speed. Are you seeing? So the phlegmatic seems to have been put down right from within their home setting. Because even the way we seem to describe them, they seem to be slower. But we don't understand that these are marathoners. They hold on to something, they are bulldogs. They will not leave it. The challenge then becomes, even as far as coaching is concerned, the challenge then becomes to be able to give clarity of vision so that this person knows what they are chasing after. If they know what they're chasing after, they are just as good. They can achieve just as much as a sanguine, just as much as a choleric.
Yes. As much as the world is seemingly giving more platform to a choleric or a sanguine, what you're saying is that the phlegmatics and melancholic actually have a similar chance.
A similar chance. Yeah. The only thing that we need to do, even as parents raising phlegmatics, raising melancholics, it's important for us to know, so that even from the time that this child is young, we actually begin to pull them out, because society actually does a disservice to introverts.
Build their esteem.
Yes.
Yes, so when it comes to relationships, naturally, choleric will attract a phlegmatic, naturally. You know, that's an extrovert and an introvert, because the choleric is a leader. They want a follower, somebody who can understand them. And who's a good, and the follower, the phlegmatic is just a follower. They want somebody to take the lead, and they can follow faithfully, loyally. So naturally that relationship will work very well, because there's no competition.
Probably let's look at it this way. How about a lady who is a choleric married to a guy who is a phlegmatic? How is that dynamic?
Yes. So now that's what she was talking about. Yeah. So now the challenge is for the lady. Okay, actually both of it, but let's start with the lady. So the lady, you need to know at least there's you don't take charge too, like, you're now the one in control, because this man will never argue with you. They'll never like push you. They'll never, they don't, they are peaceable, So it's important to know the place of the man in the house, So that's important. And even for the man, sometimes when you find the woman is like more aggressive and more of that, you start to hold back. You start to think, oh, she now wants to take over and all that. So you need to be able to know. That's why we are saying, and this is very important for couples, by the way. So because when you understand this is who she is, this is her personality, this is who she is, then you're able to embrace her better, and even be able to work together to bring your, to be able to achieve things together. So we need that understanding to know that my wife is like this. When we go anywhere, she will be the first to speak. And I need to give her the first place, because that's where she thrives. And this is who she is. And then also for the wife also be able to at least give the man also time. Not you are the only one who talks all the time. When you're done talking, the conversation is done. No. You need to be able to listen.
You need to learn the dynamics of a family. Because going back to the biblical foundations, as you were saying, the man is the head of the home. Doesn't matter your temperament.
You need to know the place of the man in the house. Then naturally, a sanguine will attract a melancholic. Because one is the one is loud, the other one is, a bit, reserved. So that balances it out. And then now the challenge for the melancholic is also the patience of dealing with this sanguine, because they are loud people. So you see them speaking with this one, with that one, with that one. They get very jealous, these people. And also I think one of the other I would say is a weakness for the melancholic is that they are very clingy. There's another word, clingy, yes, but there's another word. That is when they hold on to something, they hold. If it's a relationship, they hold on to you. So when I see you're speaking to this one, that one, I'll always feel like, you're
Insecure?
you're cheating. Yeah, insecure, yes. Yeah, very insecure also. So you need to be able to understand your partner. And also now, when you understand each other, you can trust each other. Yeah, but naturally, those are relationships that go very well. There's no competition. The challenge is when we have a choleric and a choleric. Who will speak? Who will listen? You see? Sanguine and a choleric. The one is too loud, the other one is too domineering.
Yeah.
So you see, there are marriages like that. I know there are relationships like that. But let me tell you, if there's no war right now, wait for it. It's coming. It's coming. It's around the corner. But I usually say, marriage is a choice. You can make it work. You just need to be able to understand your partner, and you can make it work. It's a choice. Yeah.
Wow. So wow. Do you know your partner's temperament? Probably, I think knowing their temperaments will help reduce some of the quarrels that we have at home. Because, and even your children, as you've said, it's good to know the temperaments of your children.
Yes.
No child should be given more
and
love.
just to say, Linda, just to know, it's not enough to know someone's temperament, but also to know where they are coming from.
Yes.
Because it's a combination of your temperament plus your life experiences.
Nature and nurture.
Yes. So if, as an example, as a sanguine, I came wounded, you understand? So then you have to deal with me based on the fact that this is their home setting, so that then as a couple, we try and work together on the basis of this person needs to improve in this area of their lives, and you can deal with me and help me to come out of whatever challenge that I have come with as a result of where I came from.
Wow. So everything is basically in terms of nature, how the temperament that you are.
Yes.
Then there's the nurture, where you came
where
from.
I came
from,
yes. So when you look at it holistically that way, then you're able to have a healthier relationship, because then you're not just judging someone. Sanguines are like this, cholerics are like this. You understand? That's why I keep saying the weaknesses of your temperament tend to come out on the basis of where you came from. So you can be helped to overcome.
Wow. Wow. Because of time, I would like to give each one of you 30 seconds to just, give your closing shot.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes. So as we say, there's no temperament that's better than the other. I think you just need to be aware of your strengths, maximize on them, weaknesses as well, so that you work on them. That's very important. And also be able to understand people around you. Don't take things personally. Try and understand where that person is coming from. You'll be more embracing and have healthier relationships. And you can also, can I say where they can find me on social media?
Yeah, please.
Yes. So my social media accounts on Facebook, you can search Sarah Munyi, the life coach. Sarah Munyi, the life coach, on Facebook and even on Twitter. And then on Instagram, Sarah_Munyi. On YouTube, I have a YouTube channel. Please, I do a lot of videos there. Sarah Munyi TV. So thank you so much. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Judy.
Yes, I just want to say that temperaments are who God created us to be, and it's important for us to find out our true temperament. And for us to find our true temperament, I honestly believe that you need an external eye to help you find out the true identity. Once you find your true identity and you're able to embrace who you are, it's easy to find your purpose. And that's why this whole conversation, Linda, about temperaments has been so important. God bless you.
Thank you.
Yes, and then more important than that, I also want to say that it's not just important for you to know yourself, it's important for you to also know and understand the people that you're relating with, so that you can harness the power of communication, so that you can harness the power of relationships and be able to work effectively with other people. So that's another thing that you need to know. And then, of course, also raising the next generation, so that the mistakes that the former generation made, as far as not understanding temperaments, I believe by God's grace, this generation should do a greater job of celebrating each temperament and be able to bring out the best of our children, the best of our generations, by the grace of God. To find me at Safarini with Judy Mzungu Hakula. I run a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Safarini with Judy Mzungu Hakula, where we take the journey of life together.
Wow, I like that. Let's celebrate every temperament. Know the temperament of your temperament, know the temperaments of the people around you and where they are coming from. And most importantly, it's important for parents to know the temperaments of their child, so that they don't, as they grow up, you don't strangle who they are, but you allow them, give them platform to express themselves. So I believe you have learned something, and every temperament has to be brought under God. So even as you are, please ensure that whatever weakness or whatever strength that you have, it is submitted to Christ so that we can thrive and be more or be better humans. So you can look for these ladies if you need a life coach. See you again next week for Sister Talk. I've been your host, Linda Talam. Bye-bye.